Yo, what's good? You dub back here again in 2019. Let's get it. We on our fifth Powers tournament. For those who don't know, first time ever seeing this video, we match up 8 abilities in a specific category, a specific type of abilities, and we duke it out. This time, we're dealing with the forces of nature themselves, 8 different powers and abilities to see which one comes out supreme. The first matchup, and pause right before we introduce all that, for those who have not seen any of these before, potentially, or have forgotten, we have 3 categories because what thing I've noticed a lot of times when it comes to matchups of these kind of things is people don't have set criteria, or they have kind of a loose thing. I don't do that on my channel. We have clear criteria so I can explain to you. And if you disagree, that's fine. We can have that discussion, debate. But a lot of times I think most people can see where I'm coming from. First category is versatility. Second category is ease of usage and mastery. And the third category is effectiveness. And in case you don't know any of these abilities, these powers, these you know natural capacities, don't worry. I will break them down for you and showcase what I mean. Now, first matchup is good old gravity, which a lot of people get hyped. Guys like Admiral Fujitora Isho in One Piece, Blackbeard Marshall D Teach in One Piece uses these abilities. Folks get mad hyped. The ability, like when Uchiha Madara pulled down that meteor from the sky, folks get hyper. It seemed like he pulled it down, but anyways, and you had former Tsuchikage Anoiki do defying gravity feat. So folks get hyped about gravity. Let's keep that. And there was of course Gravity Girl in the Galaxy Trio. We have going against magnetism, ladies and gentlemen. And don't let that get confused with electromagnetism. It's a completely different thing. All right. Electromagnetism is a whole wider array of capacity with abilities. The second matchup is nuclear versus decay. Okay. Third matchup is kinesis, the ability of motion and such, versus pressure. We're talking about like Boyle's law, in chemistry, pressure. You don't know what pressure is. Building up of pressure, the ability to bust pipes, things of that nature. The fourth matchup and the final one in the first round is sound versus thermodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics. We're dealing with heat conversion and things of that nature. Now, gravity, and I've already listed off a number of ability users. People love gravity. Y'all know what gravity is. Newton's theory of gravity. All right. For every object that goes up must come down. Another gravity user in One Piece is Golden Line Shiki. Okay, he has the ability to where he touches an object, he can pretty much keep it afloat and such. An inanimate object, excuse me. But I wonder if that affects people if he touches clothes. But anyways, the whole thing is the ability to put pressure in a different regard than pressure that we'll be talking about on something, to whether to crush, to lift it, to make it lighter than the surrounding air, atmosphere, things of that nature. Um, Gravity is a pretty straightforward kind of thing. Um, there are more, I suppose, technical aspects of it, but we generally have just the ability to attract objects of a lighter mass and density and things of that nature. It deals with the denseness of an object. Okay. When it comes to magnetism, you're dealing predominantly with the attraction and the repelling of. We see it predominantly with metal, but it's not just metal, but we see it predominantly attracting metal. It's the magnetic forces. It's the positive and negatives. It's like you see also on the atomic level. So you can go to that level as well. In brief, it's attraction and repulsion. So there's that. Um, Versatility, I would say they're pretty much even, honestly, because they honestly do practically the same thing. They do practically the same thing. You could say maybe gravity universally is more versatile, but not really, because if you're magnetic on the level of the atomic level, then you can use that more effectively. But dude, they do the same thing. They do the same thing in simplified terms. When it comes to ease of use and mastery, I would say ease of use and mastery goes to gravity without question. Because magnetism, we've seen only a number of people use it quickly and effectively. Like you look at even though we haven't directly got what his devil fruit is, you look at someone like uses Captain Kidd. Then you look at three people, all top, like arguably top tiers, or well, Fujitora I say is a mid top tier, but still, you have Fujitora who's an admiral, Isho is an admiral, Teach he's a Yonko, and you have Shiki. And if you don't know who Shiki is, then you need to get slapped. He was a rival of former Pirate King Goldie Roger. We got top dogs in the series, and you got useless Captain Kidd. Just saying, who got washed by Yonko Kaido. I'm just saying. Now you can say, well, Teach also has the Quake. That is true, but he became a Yonko without pretty much relying on that. So there you go. I mean, he has darkness, but darkness deals with a lot of with the gravity. Yeah, I'm just saying, just does. When it comes, so each of you should. I mean, you have a guy like Magneto with the X Men, who's probably the most famous magnetic user. He nasty with it, but there are other people who have gravity based abilities who like just do that thing like it ain't nothing. So I gotta go over there. And effectiveness, gravity has the ability. They both have the ability to be a bare minimum planetary. But here's the thing about gravity. Gravity can you can deal with celestial bodies, like all kinds of celestial bodies. In fact, gravity is famous for the black hole. Electromagnetism, magnetism in this case, excuse me, magnetism, excuse me, does not step to that. It's like localized, all right, versus something that can produce a damn black hole, which some theorize is the center of galaxies. What I'm supposed to do with galaxy versus a planet, because that's what magnetism pretty much deals with, just the planet. This was looking pretty obvious. Gravity taking this W. Now, next up match, we have Nuclear versus Decay. Ooh, this is a nasty mix mount. Nuclear, we're dealing with the atomic processes of things. We're going all the way down there. And we're going to potentially radiation, um, radioactive poisoning, um, manipulation of atomic structures. So low key reality warping, potentially, if you want to go there. But that would take some high, stupid level mastery. You're going potentially siphoning off nuclear, ability. You could be potentially be complete energy form. Like being nuclear is a broad term, and it's up to the creator if they want to put limits. Like you can go from someone in like Captain Atom to someone, even though he's not exactly nuclear, he kind of is, to Dr. Manhattan. Both of them are stupidly powerful, so there you go. Oh, and of course, someone like Firestorm as well. All three stupidly powerful people. All three casually planetary threats. And when it comes to Dr. Manhattan, he's a hell of a lot more. So there you've seen the levels of power we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to decay, you're talking about rot. You're talking about it's pretty straightforward, but it's pretty damn destructive. You're talking about decay. You're talking about potentially someone who's immortal. You're talking about someone who can just age to the point of any weapon. Like, let's say you shot a bullet, that thing could crumble into dust. You could suck the life force out of somebody, to where they become a husk. Um, age the environment. You can cause an area of death. You step into this, you're starting to die. Something like Skydeer in Toriko had an ability to where if you even Neodemon Acacia almost got body bagged. As powerful as he was, because he was aging thousands of years in like a second. Like it was stupid. It was stupidly broken. He's a broken ability. At most, like you're causing all things to go to entropy. You are death in personified, and it's hard to step to death personified. So there is that. Now, in terms of versatility, nuclear, it's just not fair, bro. Nuclear is reality warping. Decay is pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. Like it's you age things and you kill them. That's just what it is. You destroy, you break things down. It's as simple as it comes. When it comes to ease of usage and mastery, I gotta give it to Decay. Cause it could be passive as well as active. Like ease of usage and mastery, Dr. Manhattan had to learn how to use his abilities. You see characters like a Firestorm and Captain Atom. They have to learn to control, or they have to have containment suits and things of that nature. Like you can't just be wilding out here. All right. So ease of usage and mastery goes to Decay. Now, when it comes to effectiveness, okay, this is probably one of the hardest matchups I've ever had to do when it comes to these abilities, because on one hand, you have someone who could potentially rearrange someone's nuclear structure. So, you literally could change the chemical composition, the molecular composition of someone if you have that level of control. If so, there's that. You could potentially wipe out all life on the planet casually. You can just destroy a city casually. You're a walking nuclear weapon of mass destruction. You can cause air to be toxic. You're talking planetary. Now, I mentioned Dr. Manhattan. The thing is, while he isn't. Like it's a weird thing. He deals with the intrinsic forces of nature, so he's a little bit different. But you're potentially, and here's the thing, it's kind of hard to say how wide his ability. Like he did some stuff to affect, but he didn't like create the universe, or you're not getting in that kind of level of reality warping. Um, you can potentially create life. You can do it's a more minimalized reality warping. So I don't want to go anything. It's definitely casually planetary threat. Casually. Um, how far? It's kind of hard to say. Decay? Oh god. Casual life wipe. If you want to take it to that level. Um, hell, actually, it's a definite planetary threat, because if we're talking about this, like just breaking down inanimate objects as well, it would be easier of effect with decay than it would with nuclear, because nuclear, you'd have to have a high level skill to be literally manipulating nature itself at the nuclear. Normally it's just controlling of nuclear power. The thing about the nuclear power, it could combat it, sure, but decay, see, you're dealing with raw energy versus, you're just dealing with raw energy. Can raw energy destroy something that's the thing? Would raw energy affect it? And on an atomic structure, not really affected either. So nuclear is not so much effective against decay, but can the decay be effective against the nuclear? And the answer is yes, because the atoms are still composed of, and since decay can affect inanimate objects, and since decay is practically immortal, practically, Depending on how you want to rate, he's practically immortal. Like you can kill off Solomon Grundy, for example, but not really. Like he's weird. Yes, you can kill him, but he's low level when it comes to the decay, to the rock, to the black. He's low level with it, but he always comes back. Decay on the highest level is practically death itself. So, can you kill death? Normally, the answer is no, especially not with something on the power of nuclear. You need something high level on that. So, with effectiveness, I gotta give it to Decay on this one. Surprisingly enough, eh, fight styles make fights. When it comes to kinesis versus pressure, the power of motion, forces of push, pull, lift, drag, thrust, uh, drop things of that nature. Being able to move. We see this with Gambit. He's the most famous kinesis user. Used kinesis in the past, in the third power tournament, but it's a great one to use here. When it comes to pressure, we're talking like Boyle's law, to where air pressure, things of that nature. When you're dealing with scuba diving, you're dealing with air pressure. Um, Submersives, when you're dealing with high level altitude, you're dealing with pressure. Um, so I, I'm not going to get too technical in breaking down pressure. Pressure is its own thing. You can look it up for the physics if you want to. When it comes to versatility, pressure it can do a lot of things, but it's kind of like nuclear. Well, not nuclear. It's kind of like gravity. It's pretty straightforward. Um, you can cause something to feel more pressure, or less pressure, lighter than air destruction. So you're able to do things such as fly and whatnot. You're able to keep somebody down, similar to gravity. It's a similar to gravity, but you're able to potentially burst organs and things of that nature. Like I said, it's similar to gravity, but it has different properties to it on how it gets it done. um, you see pressure, something like with hot air balloons. You see someone like Setsuno and Toriko. She had the pressure. Forget what she called it, but it was a pressure cooker kind of thing. Pressure dome. You see it with cooking. Um, you know, again, a pipe bursting, things of that nature. You could really be effective. But we'll get more into effectiveness. But you could have like blood vessels blow up and stuff like that, or crush somebody. Um, when it comes to kinesis, again, you're talking about motion itself, stop motion, inertia, have something to where it can continuously go, like with Juggernaut, Kane Marco. Um, you can pull something, Jedi push, Jedi pull, um, lift things, lower things, all that kind of stuff. So I'd say kinesis has more applications because you're controlling motion itself. Ease of use and mastery, I would say they're about even. They're both mid-level skills. You see people can effectively use them, but you don't see that many users in fiction, and there's a reason for that because it's kind of difficult. But it's not the most difficult, but it's also not the like most showy when it comes to abilities, so you don't see that many. But they're decently difficult to learn, but they're also not the hardest thing to learn. When it comes to effectiveness, kinesis, we're talking universal. You're talking literally the limits of the universe. And I don't say multiversal because each universe can have its own laws of physics and logic as such. When it comes to pressure, not necessarily a universal constant. It is not necessarily. It's at most zone. When you're talking about range, definitely Kinesis has the ability to deal in that regard. Um, But the thing about it is, here's what's difficult. You can stop motion. You can stop the motion of the person, but it's a lot more when it comes to pressure. Pressure can be a lot more miniaturized than can than can kinesis. Kinesis can affect motion and stop all motion. But if someone, let's say motion was stopped, but if someone had a pressure zone up, then you could get destroyed. But then again, kinesis could potentially get that person out of there. This is a very tough one because both are great counters for the other one. What would I say would win? Would motion, would stopping the motion, would causing it to be moved? I think in the end, kinesis edges it out because kinesis has a wider range of options to choose with the W. Pressure would keep someone stopped for a while, would keep someone at bay for a while, but kinesis allows for more things. And for example, you have a potential entire planet at play. But you could say, well, kinesis could get you using the forces, yes, but at certain things. For example, the force of water, pressure at water varies at different depths. So it's a very localized thing where kinesis you're literally affecting planet universal constants. So it's just a matter of greater range, really, and greater accessibility of abilities. Now, in the last matchup of the first round, sound versus thermodynamics. Sound, we're dealing with sound waves, things of that nature. Y'all know what sound is. Y'all listen to radios and things. Y'all get the point. Got like Zebra from Toriko uses sound. When it comes to thermodynamics, you're talking about heat. And heat is created by the motion of molecules and stuff. But the first two laws of thermodynamics, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's a law of conservation of energy, and all energy goes to entropy, uselessness. So we're talking about predominantly we're dealing with heat, but we're also dealing with the motion of things. It's connected with kinesis, but it's different. Okay, it's different entirely. Talking about versatility, sound. I mean, you have a character like Ulysses Claw, famous adversary of Black Panther, T'Challa. Claw became like sound itself. So in that case, he becomes immortal. So you have the potential there. You can become just sound waves. Um, you have the ability to affect equilibriums, the balance. You have the ability to affect pretty much any surface. You have the ability high levels of destruction. Planetary because sound doesn't really travel in a vacuum of space, so it's a planetary level threat. Um, fine tuned to the point you could affect as little as a heartbeat or as bit like I said up to completely destroying just casually cities, just wiping things out with tremors and things of that nature. Thermodynamics, you're talking about universal, if not multiversal, levels of power at the highest point. Versatility, you're talking versatility. Both are pretty streamlined and straightforward, but when you're talking about thermodynamics, you have it to where you could go plasma all the way gaseous state, uh, liquid state, solid state, crystalline state, all the way to the Bose-Einstein condensate. You're talking about absolute zero. So versatility definitely goes to thermodynamics. Talk about the states of matter itself, as well as heat. Uh, ease of usage and mastery, sound. You don't see many people rocking thermodynamic at all. At all. And there's a reason for that because you're talking potentially just any small mistake is there goes an entire city casually. Sound, you usually have to exert more power. We don't usually see sound users just out here destroying planets for good reason. Effectiveness, like I said, you're talking at its highest, you're talking thermodynamics potentially affecting on a multiversal plane. Sound only affects for a planet. But here's the thing. It's strange because sound, if you're talking about you could potentially be pure sound itself, then that means you're potentially immortal. Which means with thermal, even if you did absolute zero and it did all molecules lack in motion, well, you're no longer molecular. But you can also do the level of plasma. But then again, would sound be able to affect you? The effectiveness. Sound could be able to counter that in effect. But if you can start and stop your heart, for example, then anything that sound can pretty much do, if you have free reign of the molecules and you have free reign of the environment, you could you could make great defenses. It's just that sound, would sound be able to get around the defenses of thermodynamics? But then again, thermodynamics can go into say sound can't affect in space, so sound is null and void in space. So sound would be defeated in space, so thus thermodynamics wins. And it's just the point of thermodynamics has a greater playing field than sound does. In the second round, we have gravity versus decay. Gravity, what's more versatile? Both are pretty straightforward, yet gravity, you have a few more options. You can crush, you can lift, you can do things of that nature. Decay, it's pretty much rot. You have an area of rot, or if you touch. But if you can't touch or you don't get them in the area, gravity can keep you away. So gravity can effectively neutralize to a degree the offensive capacity of rot, unless you somehow rot away the entire planet. But then there's that. Gravity, ease of usage and mastery, decay way easier. Not even close. Decay, you almost don't even have to try. And you can control what you destroy or not with a touch. You can learn to control being around people. Effectiveness. Could gravity destroy an immortal? Because you're talking about potentially, like I said, a zombie. I don't know. Gravity is potentially a universal level. It deals with black holes potentially affecting the entire universe. Decay, casually planetary. But the thing about it is, decay is planetary, but would it's like death itself. How do you defeat death itself? Can you crush it? You can hold it at bay? You can send it, but it would do nothing. What you can send planets, all right? Hold it in a black hole. Can it decay a black hole? I think the best option for gravity would to just be imprison decay in something on like a black hole or suspended animation with gravity and contain and maintain that. If you can do that, then gravity wins. The thing is, decay has no real counter for that, and it it can't just continuously like infinitely reach out. So decay gets held at bay, and that's how you get the W for gravity. When it comes to kinesis versus thermodynamics, two, well, one's multiversal. Well, we'll get to that. But versatility, they're about even. They're about even. They have about as many proper like as many applications as the other. Ease of usage and mastery, I have to go with kinesis because to get to the level of, for example, transforming various states of matter, various states of energy at fine tune control, it has to be a hell of a lot harder than learning to push and pull, stop things of that nature. Effectiveness, again, you're talking thermodynamics is on a multiversal level. You're talking kinesis is on a universal level. So range goes to thermodynamics. Kinesis, here's the thing. Both could potentially pull an absolute zero. But well, kinesis would stop. Thermodynamics pulls an absolute zero, but thermodynamics you could potentially become a state of gas. So you could spread your existence out. You could become water, and it would be a constant changing game. Use the environment as well. Thermodynamics has is a greater effect on the environment than kinesis does generally. So I would have to give the thermodynamics the edge on that one. So we have gravity versus thermodynamics as the final combatants. Versatility. Thermodynamics. Without question, thermodynamics has more to bring to the table than gravity. Gravity is very straightforward, as we've talked about in the past. Ease of usage and mastery have to go with gravity. Gravity, it's you can do a lot more localized, easier. For thermodynamics, it takes a high level skill to be able to hit those different states of matter, hit crystal, plasma, Bose-Einstein constant state, absolute zero, things of that nature. Effectiveness, again, gravity, we're talking at max universal, but thermodynamics is multiversal. You're talking gravity, you can do things like black holes is usually like the max thing people can think of. Thermodynamics, you're literally affecting potentially the universe itself, um, which is more effective than the other. Gravity, again, runs into the same problem that kinesis is that thermodynamics can consistently change the states of composition of something. Um, Gravity, the problem is gravity isn't like sound. You don't turn into gravity. So absolute zero in the games is game over. It's game over. You can say, well, put him in a black hole. Sure. I mean, black hole might be effective, but then again, can pressure control all forms of matter? And okay, let's say you put him in a black hole, still absolute zero stops all motion, still good game. It's over for gravity and thus release of the black hole. Absolute zero just destroys a gravity user, pure and simple. Or you can hit them with plasma. Like any high or low level temperature is game over for the gravity user. Thermodynamics wins this whole tournament. Unexpected one, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Which ability do you think comes out on top? All right, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.